Okay, so
Are we going to do a basic pitch?
yeah.
We're going to do a basic pitch. That's what we're here for today, y'all. Get excited.
Well, I'm already excited because this is an idea I've had for a very long time. And, okay, I brought you guys here under the pretense that I had a brand new basic pitch that I'd been working on.
Oh, God.
But I lied. Twist! Yes,
Dun, dun,
no.
dun.
This is actually a sequel idea.
What?
Whoa. Okay,
Oh
wait.
my God.
Wait. Are we so meta already that we're doing sequels to previous basic pitches, or is this a sequel to something that's already out there in the world?
Would I blow your mind if I said both?
Oh my God. Okay.
I have no more guesses. Lay it out.
Oh yeah, if you guessed this, I would be convinced that you're psychic. So you guys remember a little while ago where we went into the backstory of one Ugbert Bugbert?
Isn't the sequel to that just A Nightmare Before Christmas?
Yes, but things can have more than one sequel.
Okay.
Kind of like how 101 Dalmatians has multiple universes sequels to it. There's 101 Dalmatians 2, there's 102 Dalmatians, and there's the sequel to the book, I don't even remember what it's called, where the Dalmatians end up visiting aliens and flying around the planet and getting telekinetic.
Wait, what?
You guys don't know about the sequel to 101 Dalmatians?
Wait, the dogs become
The dogs,
telekinetic?
yes. Okay, well, real quick recap from what I remember. I have not read the book. I read the Wikipedia page. The two parent dogs
Gotcha.
are the main characters.
Pongo and Perdita.
That's it, yes.
Yeah.
So they wake up one day and all the humans in the world have disappeared, Raptured style, right? This is...
I love that it's just a middle finger to all dogs go to heaven.
I guess you're right. Well, I mean, it doesn't say that...
Oh, rapture style, not necessarily
Rapture.
actual
Okay,
rapture.
we don't know where they went, right?
This is also a sequel to Left Behind.
So they wake up and all the humans are gone, and they decide to form their own dog society. And then at some point they gain the ability to fly. And they've gone to the United Nations of Dogs, and there's a French poodle representing France. And at this point they can very well talk telepathically. And then they find alien dogs who fly in, and it just goes off the rails from there.
I feel like this being an audio medium, my eyes need to be making noises right now. And they would be something like...
You at home cannot see the question mark that has just appeared over his head.
My eyebrows have legit shaped into a question mark. I had no idea. This is like Disney IP.
I don't think it's Disney IP because
Disney
got
the
rights
to the book.
Disney got the rights to the first book, but they didn't bother with the second book for some reason. They just made their own alternate sequels.
Yeah, so what I've derived so far is that we are somewhere in the universe of either a sequel to a Disney IP or a sequel to the original basis for a Disney IP that Disney decided to pass up and therefore is totally fair game for us.
Well, this is definitely not going to be fair game because one component of it is, at least, though based on some non-Disney source material, is exclusively a Disney creation.
Okay.
I'll give you the history.
Okay.
So, I assume you guys both know The Little Mermaid story. It's based on Hans Christian Andersen's novel, and in the original story, he has a character that is basically Ursula, but his version of Ursula is not the Ursula that we know and love, the six-tentacled octopus woman.
She only had 6 tentacles?
And 2 arms, yeah.
Oh, sure.
Side diversion here. Her little sister, who is the main antagonist of the second movie, has 8 tentacles. But yeah.
Does she have any arms?
She has 2 arms.
Okay.
That's kind of going more of a crustacean direction where you can have all the legs and the claws.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm ignoring the sequel for the most part for this. Anyway, so yeah, Ursula is kind of, especially in her form that we all know, is very much a Disney creation. Also, Beauty and the Beast, based on non-Disney IP.
Oh, dang, we're going into crossover territory.
Oh, yes.
Can't wait. We're in like Kingdom Hearts here.
Yes, very much. If you look at the original story that Beauty and the Beast is based on, there isn't really a Gaston character per se. And in the original script, before they made a whole bunch of tweaks to what ended up getting filmed or drawn, there was originally supposed to be just 3 randos, kind of like a mirror image to the 3 Bimbettes from that is what they are called.
Les Trois Bombettes.
Les Trois Bombettes. This is going to be 3 suitors that were all just kind of like goofy, and none of them really had a personality. And then upon the second writing, they all got combined into one aristocratic person who like was tall and had a crooked nose, and Anyway, and then finally someone was like, you know what? Let's just simplify everything. We're just gonna make this one goofy, lovable character who's the most interesting character in the entire movie, called Gaston.
Is goofy and lovable, like, are those agreed upon adjectives for him?
I agree upon it with myself.
Great. All right.
Depends on where you go.
We have a quorum.
When you look at it as a child and you think that the Beast is the good guy, then maybe, yeah, you will be fooled into thinking that Gaston is the bad guy. But really, they're all bad guys.
Sure.
So
okay.
Gaston himself also exclusively a creation of a Disney writer. So I want to take these two stories and these two characters, and I want to make my own sequel to Beauty and the Beast, where we know at the end of Beauty and the Beast, Gaston plunges from the top of a castle and presumably dies, and they never even mention him again. An early draft of the script actually has him kill himself.
Whoa.
It's a, if I can't be with Belle, no one can.
You're bringing with the trivia today.
Oh yeah, I did research on this one.
Accidentally?
No, he kills himself.
Wait, if I can't be with Belle, no one can be with me?
The idea was he picked the top of the castle because he's like, we'll both die up here, and he stabs Beast a couple times, and he thinks he's dead.
Like he's going to bring Beast
like,
with him.
And then he jumps off.
Oh, sure.
Right.
Huh.
Just the Beast survives the stabbings.
It does feel that feels like a little bit of a stretch. I'm glad they made the revision.
Yeah. Oh, actually, like I went through all the different rewrites about this. There was one where he's about to stab the Beast in the forest, and before they put it at the top of the castle, and Belle just comes up behind him and hits him in the head with a rock, and he falls off a cliff, and then gets eaten by the wolves that were attacking Maurice earlier.
It's like three Disney villain deaths combined into one.
He's like the Rasputin of this story.
Wait, how do you find out about these alternate drafts?
Mostly Disney Wiki.
Okay.
They tell you like all the different versions of what could have been, and oh man, some amazing factoids on the Disney Wiki, y'all.
Yeah, like parallel universes, a la the various numbers of 100 Dalmatian.
Right. These are the multiverse Gastons. They all die these horrific deaths, and we're gonna pick up one of these Gaston horrific deaths, and we're gonna follow it, because I've always felt like Gaston is very close to Beast himself. Like they're almost mirror images, and like in the narrative, you can see like he's a beautiful person, but he's irredeemable, and Beast is an ugly person, but he's totally redeemable. But I feel like the only part of that the movie properly did was the beautiful and ugly. Otherwise, their personalities are remarkably similar. The Beast actually captures Belle, like does a prison trade-off and keeps her as a prisoner, and he's a jerk and he's mean to her. But then like she eventually gets through to him and makes him a better person, which is a terrible lesson.
We start a song with, there's something sweet and almost kind when sort of squinting to look for his positive features.
Right?
Totally.
Yeah. So, I mean, would it not be just as bad if Gaston had captured her and put her in a jail cell, and then she slowly fell in love with Gaston? Like, the only thing that would be different there is Gaston isn't a beast. So, I'm just saying, like, Beast wasn't great, Gaston wasn't great, but if Beast is redeemable, Gaston is totally redeemable. But definitely not within the scope of the film, because he dies.
Right.
I would say probably the main difference between them and the one that Disney plays on is that Gaston is vain and the Beast can't be because he's Beast.
He was vain,
yeah,
presumably, when he was still human.
So Gaston's just like one story cycle behind Beast.
That's right. If instead of, like fighting the Beast and getting murdered, he had instead been cursed.
Or just like lived into middle age and started to not be quite the alpha male anymore. Yeah.
Like he could have had something that could have brought him down a peg, and then he could have like found his place and like had his own hero's journey and self-discovery.
Dude could have just torn his ACL and basically the same thing would have happened.
I love the idea like he was playing high school football and then he's like, no, I'm never going to get that football scholarship. And now suddenly I understand that the Bimbets, they're okay. I could probably date one of them.
But then they're like moving on to, Gastito.
Gastito, a slightly younger Gaston.
There's always another one coming up.
Oh, man.
Chomping at the heels.
Oh, I love that. And then Gaston has to be the coach of the new football team because he can't do, but he can teach.
That's right. And then we're off into Disney's version of A League of Our Own.
Oh, yes. Except we can't do that sequel because we're picking up with Gaston being dead. Yeah, he gets to see all of this when his life not taken flashes before his eyes as he is falling to his death.
Okay.
And then our story picks up right where that leaves off. He wakes up in the Disney afterlife, which is the Underworld from Hercules.
Okay.
Sure.
And there is he's going to have to see all these other Disney characters that have also been cast to the Underworld. He's going to wake up there. There's going to be pain and panic from Hercules, and they're going to be like poking at him, and he's going to like kind of come to terms with the fact that like, okay, I failed to whatever my goal was at the end there, to kill the beast and make Belle fall in love with me. And this is where he's going to get his journey of self-discovery. And who else is he going to find in the Underworld but, of course, Ursula?
Is her? Oh, yeah, totally dead.
Because
Got it.
Ursula,
Yeah.
at this point, wait.
Impaled
hang on.
by a ship's prow.
Okay, Ursula also has a very similar story so far. Like, she used to be a very powerful member of the Kingdom of Atlantean?
Sure.
I don't know. And she was cast out by Triton because she kept messing with these contracts and turning people into polyps, and they were like, we're not about that. So, for revenge, she just...
What a beautiful
It
sentence.
sounds so much less dignified when you actually name it.
Well, I mean, like, her entire superpower is that she has magic contracts, which I really want to delve into
The incarnation of
science
lawful
behind that,
evil,
too.
as alignment study
Yeah,
goes.
100% lawful evil. Just don't make a contract with her. She's not going to bother you. She has telepathy. She has the ability to transform into different things. She can do all of this stuff, but she's still going to follow the rules. You can respect that, I guess. But okay, yeah, she's still the bad guy. So yeah, at the end of the movie, the fact that she has all of these powers, she's almost like Jafar powerful at the end, and she's just so vain that the reason she dies is because she wasn't paying attention to the fact that, someone's about to ride a boat into her. Which, by the way, she dies the exact same way Cthulhu dies in his first appearance.
That's right.
Wasn't paying attention, someone drives a boat into her.
And Cthulhu made out to be similarly like borderline omnipotent in the moment in
this
question,
elder
but
god,
like
and
just
then-
breach the, I don't know, their sort of air
yeah,
bladder
dude,
and
just-
down they go.
They pop. Yeah, she got popped.
I would love it if one of these movies ended that way. God knows if a Lovecraft story ended that way.
And then they popped and flew away like a deflating balloon. Yeah, so they never actually say the name of the kingdom in the first Little Mermaid movie. You're led to believe that he is king of the sea. And I think at different points they even say king of the sea. Building him up basically as a counterpart for Poseidon. So for our purposes, let's just say that he is this universe's Poseidon. He's king of the sea. That's his domain. We could also assume that if there is a Poseidon, that there's also a Zeus and a Hades. So drawing my own little family tree here, it would mean that Ursula was screwing with Hades' brother before she dies. So she wakes up in the underworld. Hades is probably going to be like, hey, you and me, we're cool. I'm going to give you the primo spot here in
We're
the underworld.
assuming brotherly bad blood.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, they all hate each other. If he gets someone who just was screwing with his brother in the afterworld, he's going to be like, why don't I
Alliance,
give you a
totally.
job, Ursula? We'll do this together.
And she's already, her whole thing is already kind of a deal with the devil.
Exactly. And you kind of want to
So
know,
she
like,
fits
where's
right
this
in.
power coming from? The magic that she possesses is probably divine in some way. So that
took me a second.
That was
Took
a
me a
joke
second.
that
Well done.
most
Jeez.
people aren't going to get.
Oh man, we don't make nearly enough drag references in this podcast, so
Yeah.
I'm delighted, and I would never have expected it to be you, Jack. And I'm proud of you. You really
Thank
did
you.
do your research.
Thank you. Actually, speaking of research, I came across another thing that connects these universes. In my extensive research at the library, I came across
In archives.
digging through the old 1800s books, I found that there was an episode of the Hercules Disney television show that Ursula makes an appearance in.
Wow.
Yeah, so
my God, you really-
canonically
this is
they're
a-
connected.
Deep cut.
Yeah, there was an episode where they were going to a convention for half human, half monsters. Anyway, so Ursula was there. Ursula's been around. Ursula knows the family, I guess. Okay, so that is a lot of background to build us up to this moment where poor Gaston, who's like stumbling his way through the underworld and trying to find out like what his place is in this new universe where suddenly he's not the alpha dog. comes across this woman who is just like also trying to figure out what is her new place here, because suddenly she's like, she always wanted to be in charge of the kingdom of the sea, and now suddenly she is kind of in charge as an Archduke of Hades. And
Archduke of Hades.
I'm sorry, Archduchess of Hades.
I'm impressed with the arch. There's been some real climbing with those tentacles. Made it a long way fast.
She was immediately promoted. I guess there's not a whole lot of good people like showing up in the underworld that he wants to promote.
Honestly, I feel like even if there wasn't familial bad blood to recommend her, she'd be spinning her arguments as soon as she showed up. You'd have Pain and Panic coming in with their little things, and she'd be like, "Hold up!"
She's a fantastic advocate.
Give them the flotsam
for
and
herself.
jetsam treatment.
Yes,
right away.
she makes her new flotsam jetsam out of Pain and Panic. They would be perfect. Just give them snake tails.
Absolutely. Flotsam and jetsam are dead too. They're down there somewhere, but she's done with them.
So my entire arc for this story is going to be that eventually there's a romance that blossoms between these two lost souls, and it's gonna be Beauty and the Beast, except the Beast in this case, obviously, is Ursula, and the Beauty is Gaston. And Gaston comes to the realization that there's so much more to people than just the way that they look, because they have so much in common. They're both vain. They both got murdered by heroes that they didn't even expect it was going to happen. And they bond. So that's basically the premise here. I've gotten the first act set up, and I was just going to let you guys throw some ideas at the wall here for Act 2 and 3. We need a conflict. They're dead. I don't think that they want to come back to life. I don't think that's the issue.
Yeah.
But other than that, it would be, is the underworld going to be facing a threat that only this himbo Gaston and this divine Ursula can muster the strategy to overcome, or something else?
I want to just express fondness from the start because I feel like through the long build-up that we've done for this, thanks to the plenty of tangents in large part from yours truly.
This is going to be our longest episode.
Bring it. I feel like we've had a lot of, the soundtrack in my head has been very much sort of ominous trumpets all the way through. And then just suddenly we're in flute duet love story territory. And if these two just they decide to let bygones be bygones, forget about Belle, forget about our pseudo Poseidon, whatever his name, King Triton. Death is a palate cleanser. It's a blank slate.
I love that.
I don't know that it needs to be that, but it's a nice bait and switch that you've set us up with.
Yeah.
I also love the idea that there needs to be a scene here, kind of like the Shrek and Fiona, where they're just having this lovely walk through the park, but everything's a little bit warped. He's picking her flowers, but then when he shows the bouquet, it's actually just the polyp people. And she's
he tries to pick flowers, but it's like Tantalus, so all the flowers recede from his grasp.
Or she's feeding him cherries, but the cherries are actually just
eyeballs.
Eyeballs, yeah. But
it's also more cherries than he can keep up with. She's got
plucking out the families of the dead. Yeah, but we have. He can eat 6 dozen eggs at the same time. I'm sure he can eat 6 dozen eyeballs. And just the two of them smiling next to each other would be such a great image. Oh, they could be on the riding the gondola down the river Styx or whatever.
I envision they can do a swimming scene at some point.
Oh yeah,
they're underwater for a while, and then Gaston is pretending to choke, and they're like, we're dead already. So great love story montage.
They're really just having fun.
I like the idea that Hades is a fun place.
Yeah, I like
their second chance story.
It's all about your perspective. If you're Gaston and Ursula, Hades is great. So if our second act is just basically building up this perfect world where yes, we're falling in love, and they're singing an "I think I'm falling in love" kind of story together.
God, already got songs. This pitch is developed.
It's 5 words.
And a melody.
Right. Okay.
Give yourself credit and a
then,
key.
If we're building that up as the stakes that you are going to lose, then the twist is going to have to be they're going to lose that somehow.
Separation. So yeah.
The best thing I can come up with, and you guys maybe y'all can come up with something better, is maybe LeFou. He's probably in a bad place right now because his best friend in the world has just been murdered by the monster who is now the king of their kingdom. The Bimbets won't even talk to him. He doesn't have anyone to follow around. So maybe he gets into some dark magic because dark magic exists in this universe. Maybe he finds the witch that cursed Beast in the first place, and he's like, witch, you gotta help me. All I want is for my best friend to be alive again. So he
resurrection against his will.
Yes.
Darn.
So he brings him back, but now...
At first I thought you were going to say this could be like an Orpheus and Eurydice kind of thing.
Where he goes into the underworld
and Gaston is like following
just
behind him.
shows up in like armor. Riding a black steed. I came to rescue you from death.
But I do kind of like the demon summoning thing. So the idea would be he'd invoke Gaston and bring him back.
Right,
into the mortal
like
plane.
he would take his body that he's probably kept around for a couple months. And he's got like a little shrine, and he's constantly like covering him in band-aids. Like, don't worry, Gaston, we're gonna get you better, man.
And if Gaston is actually pretty happy where he is, then you have the opportunity for sort of an inversion of the original like Gaston song, where LeFou's trying to cheer him up when he's down in the dumps. And instead, you have like dead Gaston trying to be like, stop him, smell the roof.
I did not picture him as zombie Gaston. I thought he would come back 100% so he could still do like his picking up a bench with one hand and 3 women on it. But zombie Gaston's an option for sure. Oh, because then suddenly he's also the Beast. Then it's just Beast and the Beast.
Yeah.
Oh, except Ursula can come back as the beauty, like in her alternate self as Vanessa, where she looks like Ariel with black hair
and resting mean face. Yeah.
Yes. Maybe there's like they get separated and he can't get back because Ursula changed him, and now he's considered a good soul. So if he were to die now, he's gonna go to paradise. So he has to spend the 3rd act trying fruitlessly to become bad again. So he's like, I'm gonna go knock over this wagon, but then you find out, well, the wagon was full of thieves and you just saved somebody's life savings.
Well, and like, it's not only like in the course of doing this, you end up redeeming the concept of villains. You also end up kind of tarnishing the concept of heroes. And in uplifting hell, you got to kind of downgrade heaven.
Well, it's all about perspective. The people who are there are happy there, but it's not somewhere where Gaston would be happy. So Gaston has to... Ooh, another crossover. Gaston needs to have the opposite of a conscience. So you get Jiminy Cricket's evil twin, who's like Timony
Jicket.
Criminy Jicket. He's just like on his shoulder all the time.
What is a Jicket?
You see those cigarettes? You should start smoking cigarettes. I'm going to make you look even cooler. And he's just always in these situations like, I don't know, Criminy. That seems a little dark, even for me. Daddy, do you want to get back to hell or not, man?
And someone at some point is like, it's pronounced Crimini. He's a mushroom.
Hit that guy. He tried to correct you. No one corrects Gaston.
I love this accent. We're finding the real charismatic new character.
So, like, I don't even know what the resolution there would be, but I've got a good temporary resolution. Is like at the end when he's just like, I just can't do bad anymore, you guys. I'm broken. Just a common sense character will come by and be like, well, why don't you just get the witch to bring back Ursula?
And whatever LeFou did in the first place, but if it's important that you have the body, then there's a quest built in.
Oh, yeah.
That you got to go find whatever's left of Ursula.
This is turning into a mini series at this point where they have to find Prince Eric and be like, hey, where did you kill that innocent giant monster? And then they have to, I guess...
Hopefully she's shrunken back to a normal-ish size, but if she's
like a
what
if she island.
Can you imagine if she's
Oh,
yes!
whale.
And there's 8,000 birds just like on her corpse, and they're like, all right, this will do.
Talk about zombie. I mean, can you love this?
I guess, wouldn't that actually really tell the supposed message of the first story so much better? If you've got a zombie Gaston... and an 8 stories tall
decomposing bloated
and they're
zombie Ursula.
They're together and they're happy and they're like, we don't care what you look like.
Well, which makes this at its essence a friendship story, because if you're talking about romance, like
no, they could still be romantic. Come on.
I mean, it just sort of, you can't really hug, etc.
Well,
as we know, romantic partners like to hug.
They like to hug.
Maybe there's a song about everybody in the world misunderstanding them. Yeah. Everybody knows romantic partners like to hug.
This is a little bit like rock, I guess, and I'm for it. This is turning into a rock opera. Oh, can you imagine when they first show up in hell and there's like a sick guitar solo? And welcome to the Hades.
And you hear it and you see all the like fireworks and everything, and then it turns up.
I just straight up stole that one. Yeah.
I mean, we're deep into IP theft, so
Yeah.
You can steal from the Disney collection. The Disney collection has a lot.
Presumably, once this is approved, yeah, you have options galore.
Right. Oh, right. Yeah. So there's this moment where like, I don't care what you look like. You don't care what I look like. We don't care that together we're just a pile of decomposing flesh and bones. We love each other. And that's it. I told you I love you. And love's going to break the curse. And it's like, no, love's not going to break this curse. But as you will remember, I have the power to transform. And I can literally just turn us back into whatever we want to look like. Yeah, I know. It's a little bit of a...
Deus Ex
Beauty
Machina.
and the beauty.
Yeah, the beauty. Oh, God. Wouldn't that be like the most pandering ending if like, how about you just make us like 80% beautiful? So I'm no longer this jacked Brock Samson type, and you're no longer a black-haired clone of Ariel. We're just like, I don't know, Fred and Ethel. That's going to be okay.
Just give me a torn ACL and we'll call it even.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a little stuck on this, like what kind of relationship they have thing, partly because you have a long history with Disney of gender nonconforming villains, and that by being, a butch woman or an effeminate man like Scar or Jafar, that is a signifier of villainy.
I never considered either Scar or Jafar to be feminine. Am I missing that, or is that a...
Feminine's not quite the word. There's just kind of an archness.
Yeah, and
I just saw them kind of like they're just a little bit better educated than everyone else, and like they kind of know it.
When you think about Divine, though, as the source material
Ursula.
for specifically Ursula,
Yeah.
and the haircut and the figure, there's a lot of like non-esteemed femininity at the very least. All that to say, I would just love to put a bookmark in the possibility that these guys have an incredible friendship, and maybe Ursula's a lesbian.
Oh, well, I've always been very in favor of the non-sexual love relationships that exist in things, and they can love each other and just love each other as friends, and it's still a love story.
Yeah, totally.
I wonder if maybe Ursula and Maleficent can get together. Because Maleficent has some very, not butch exactly.
Some dom
but
energy for sure.
Exactly.
I love we pull Maleficent
Maybe
at the
like
very
Gaston
end.
is Gaston is the matchmaker.
Oh,
Or Gaston's the sub.
if we are pulling in other characters at some point in the Underworld, I think Gaston's probably just going to be like, I'm a little bummed out. I used to have a tiny person who would follow me around and carry my stuff, and then Ugbert Bugbert is now like slowly rebuilding himself
As one bug.
I think at this point he's maybe like 8 or 9
bugs.
bugs in like a little pillow sack, and he's like, "Can I help?" And he's
A
like,
small
yes.
intentional community of bugs. He's
My
trying
new
to get
LeFou.
a stack of bugs vertically that just moves around.
LeFou Part 2, a stack
Yeah.
of bugs in a trench coat.
That's one of the really delightful things about this, I think, is like the details you can like reap from all the cross IP stuff.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
you're gonna have every Disney villain who dies basically going to be
Right.
in hell or in
Totally.
Hades.
And if enough time has passed, the heroes too.
So you can get all kinds of fun cameos and
I love that, like, Jack is here to propel the story, and we're like so far behind you in the world building consideration of this that we're just like, look at everything you can do. But
Well, here's
I
the
agree
other,
with the arc of the story that you're imagining.
The other interesting thing too is we don't have any antagonists here, which I think is appropriate because
Sure.
another sub-message to this story is sometimes there aren't bad guys.
Yeah, there's just hard situations,
yeah,
and
they have to
LeFou resurrecting
overcome-
his friend and creating distance. Distance is a huge antagonist.
Right. There can be misunderstandings with other people, and by all means, I would love Zombie Gaston to show up next to Human Beast at some point and just being like, "Oh, hey, no hard feelings about me stabbing you in the back and then you pushing me off a mountain, right? Or, I'm sorry, a castle, right?"
it's kind of like a Castle Mountain.
I also love the idea of Gaston like meeting Prince Eric to try to like track down the ship, and maybe they have a little conversation. Be like, "Oh yeah, so you met Ursi." Ursi? Oh, that's what I call her. Sometimes I call her Ulla. Yeah, she told me that y'all dated for a while when she was hypnotizing you. And y'all were engaged, but that's okay. I'm confident enough to know that.
Yeah, none of that weird ring light thing going on in my eyes. Don't you worry. There's a little bit of like, well, the bad things that happened to you led to the good place you're in now. In large
I would
part.
definitely see like this is a great journey for Gaston too. By the time he encounters Eric, he's just gonna be chummy. He's just gonna be like, oh, fellow human being. It's been a while since I've seen one of those. I've been hanging out with goblins and
deities and bugs experimenting with
bugs.
Kind of
Communism.
political systems. Yeah. I love the idea too. I mean, this is another just tiny moment, but Disney's full of tiny moments that, as you know, you could see a recurrence of the pretty abusive Gaston LeFou relationship, like waves of that, as New LeFou, the 9 bugs in the trench coat, is LeFou Part 2 is sort of there once as that relationship is forming.
He'd be LeFou Part 2.
Part 2, yeah, I love it. LeFou Part 2. But that ultimately at the end when he's like zombie Gaston and like some piece of him is falling off, he's like, here, bugs, you know.
You just get to eat it.
Which is a little bit more egalitarian than the relationship with LeFou ever was.
Yeah.
Heartwarming in a weird heartwarming.
Heartwarming. The new heartwarming story.
So what do you do with like you have big reunion moment at the end with 2 zombies in the middle of it, and do you like make everybody beautiful at the end? Do you like say that everything's fine once you're dead long enough, or do we just have zombies?
Oh gosh. So yeah, no, I don't want to undermine the entire point of the story by making them beautiful, but I also don't want to leave it on a they're completely mismatched sized zombies.
Well, and they can leave their bodies behind and go back to Hades.
Oh yeah.
You know,
then you miss out on this wonderful scene of the 2 of them getting married and all of their enemies for some reason are invited and they're there.
But you could do zombie marriage scene of this like tiny zombie man and this giant zombie octoperson.
God.
And
you know, the same officiant from The Little Mermaid.
The one who famously gets excited in the middle of it.
Yes. That person who's presumably still on the same pills.
Yeah.
Officiates the marriage, and then with whatever big musical send off, they just both disintegrate. And we assume they're back in Hades somewhere.
Yeah. We just leave that open.
Yeah.
We don't have to over explain that to the audience. Yeah. Is there anything we missed? Anything we made a mistake about? Leave a comment below. Your comments are what pay our bills.
Yes, we're paying rent on this algorithm.
That's
and
right.
You're helping us install a new door.
Louis the Loan Shark said he's going to break our knees if we don't get at least 100 comments.
Bring your friends.
Bring your friends. Bring your enemies.
Thanks for listening to this installment of The Snake's Paw. If you want to heed Jack's call to leave a comment in the proverbial below, you can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and SoundCloud at The Snake's Paw or at thesnakespaw.com. And if you want to help us fund a sizzle reel version of this to send to Disney, you can support the show at ko-fi, ko-fi.com/thesnakespaw, where we'll throw in some extras to say thank you. See you next time.